Welcome to another amazing interview on Kung Fu Conversations. We are honored today to talk to Miss Veronika Partikova, the Kung Fu academic, coming to us from beautiful Thailand today. Hello. Good morning, Miss Veronika.
Good morning.
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good evening. Would you do the honor as to share what a young lady in Czech Republic, was it? Is that the home? Is that the origin? That's home?
Yes. Czech Republic. Yeah.
How did you find Kung Fu? What spurred you to move to Hong Kong? Tell us your story, my friend.
Oh, okay.
The beginning.
Well, I started training in 1999. And that was karate at first, because there wasn't much choice, back at home. So we had judo and karate, and that was about it. And then, after some 8-9 years, I switched to Kung Fu, and, like in the first place, I don't know what actually brought me to martial arts. Probably I saw some like Kung Fu movie, or maybe, Power Rangers. I'm that generation, some Shaolin movies, yeah.
Do you remember what style of Kung Fu you started with over in Czech Republic?
Oh yeah, that was always Hung Gar. Until now, it's still Hung Gar.
That's amazing.
Or Hung Kuen.
Yeah, Hung Kuen. What do you love about Hung Kuen? Tell us about Hung Kuen. And is it the same lineage, or is it a different lineage than you learned in Hong Kong? Is it the same?
I started in the Czech Republic, and then when I moved to Hong Kong, I started training under a different master. So my lineage changed, kind of. I mean, the end of the lineage has changed, right? But like the type of Hung Gar is still the same. So yeah, like the Lam family Hung Gar, basically.
Go ahead. What did you notice were some of the differences when you moved to Hong Kong with your Kung Fu as opposed to what you were learning in Czech Republic? Was it the intensity? Was it the understanding of the talu or the forms? Was it supplemental training? Could you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe what it was like to start in Hung Gar in the origin.
Yeah. So I came to Hong Kong first time, because of a competition. And, the first time I saw like the depth of the knowledge, like about the biomechanics, I was like absolutely shocked. Like back at home, we would, step forward or step back, but no one really was thinking about like how much or if it makes any difference. And then in Hong Kong, it was like, the angles were proper, and, there was like a reason behind everything. So I was like, wow, this is something totally different for me. So I was like really motivated, but also like really frustrated when I saw that. So I was like, okay, so either I just stop training because what I'm doing here, or I move here. So I moved there.
Wow. Did you have any Chinese or Cantonese language ability, or did you just go cold and just go?
No, I didn't know anything. So Hong Kong is like a very expensive place to live. So I was looking for a job there, and I have actually first I went there for half a year as an exchange student, and then I moved there. But yeah, my first like meeting with Cantonese was in Hong Kong. But Hong Kong is like very also like English speaking, place. So it was not a problem.
Mm-hmm. And when you went, did you have an introduction to the teacher that you eventually started studying with in Hong Kong, or was there like a process around how you found that person?
So when I first got to Hong Kong, to live as an exchange student, I was training with two masters that were recommended to me by the teacher I was studying with back in the Czech Republic. And then I made my choice, and I went to him, Wong Chun Man Sifu, and I was like, can you be my Sifu? And he was like, oh, it doesn't matter if you call me Sifu or not. It only matters if it's heart to heart. So it's like, yeah, okay, I made a good choice. And, later on I did the Pisces ceremony, the discipleship oath ceremony with him as well. And I'm very happy about it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So when you moved to Hong Kong full time, you have quite the story of becoming the English teacher reluctantly. Would you please go into detail? Share that story, because that's one of my favorite episodes of your lovely podcast, Fight Waves. Is what was I? There was a lot of what was I doing? What was I thinking? So would you share with the audience those great stories?
Sure. So I did my master's in social education, and that was something I couldn't do as a job in Hong Kong. So my only option as a white person was to teach English, because, obviously I am qualified with this face. And so I was looking for a job from back home, and I got one, and I knew it's like very bad, but it was my ticket to Hong Kong. So I took it, and it was like with my English, I couldn't teach at schools. I could only teach at like tutorial centers, that's like the place where people just put their kids to like do their homeworks and like get like improve their English. But it's a horrible place. Like no windows, like lots of kids, and just terrible. And so I got there, and they told me, okay, but if there are any parents around, don't speak. Like they cannot hear your accent, you are not allowed to speak. And if anyone asks where you from, just tell them you're from Europe. If they ask what country, just say Europe, It's like, okay, so it was terrible. I hated it. It was a horrible job.
How did you transition? Where did you move from there? And tell us a little bit about, cause you mentioned lovingly, or maybe it's horrifically, the 3 apartments, your 3 apartments that you were in. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Cause, that was an amazing story too.
Yeah. So I was having this English teaching job where I had like different classes overlapping with like individual students at the same time as like group classes. So it was not individual at all, like different levels, like no like real break for lunch, like half an hour break, and then 6 days per week. And I spent that one day trying to like do interviews for some other job that would be like less terrible. And then eventually I moved into like a pre-kindergarten, like level of center, like small kids, and they were just starting. So I did like their curriculum for them and like these kind of stuff actually before the kids came. And during that time I was like applying for a spot in a PhD program, and that's like when I finally got in. So from there I actually moved into the PhD and became a student again. And so I was living in this apartment. It was like a room. It was like a small apartment that was divided into 3 rooms, my room was like 2 times 1 meter or so. Just basically like bed and walls around. And the bed was like above the table. So it was like kind of like, 2 level. And so if I sit down, I could like put my back against the wall and my feet against the other wall opposite.
Oh.
There was like no kitchen. So like my roommates, flatmates, they used to cook in the bathroom. So we had like lots of cockroaches. And so I stayed there 3 years, I think. Yeah. It was pretty bad.
You were dedicated.
I was in the 26th floor. So I was like looking down through the windows at like the other like, high buildings around me. And I was like telling myself, okay, it's going to get better. Just hold on, it's going to get better. And it did. But, I think until I actually moved out of Hong Kong, I didn't allow myself to understand how like traumatizing it was. But, yeah.
Wow.
When you went into your PhD studies, what did you decide as your major?
It was for psychology, and I was studying martial arts as like for my subject. So I did my research in psychological collectivism and mental toughness in traditional Chinese martial arts.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's I'm immediately like, I have questions. No, I think that's brilliant. I love it. So around that topic, how would you say that your education has informed your martial arts choices, or how you see your Hung Gar system in particular? Do you think it's changed over time, or do you think that you would approach it differently in terms of teaching it, or was there some sort of improvements that you felt like, if I organize things differently, or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. So my first martial art was karate. And there everything was like very organized, everything was in charts, in boxes. And then I moved into Hung Gar and everything was like a chaos, so, karate helped me a lot how to like organize and, how to make a system in my teaching, and then like later to build my curriculum. And then also like BJJ and MMA and like these like, other sports I went through really like helped me to look differently at Hung Gar. But like during my PhD, I could go to some martial arts conferences, like academic conferences, and mainly I could read anything. So like I had, full library full of like martial arts books. Some of them were in Chinese, but they had lots of pictures. So like I read them too. And, if they didn't have a book that I wanted, they will just get it for me anyway. So I was spending lots of time in the library, just like reading and going through like, not only like Kung Fu, but also, wrestling and like other sources. So definitely, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you feel like because of the organization and because of the understanding on how to teach and that kind of Western model, do you believe that would help keep the traditional Chinese martial arts alive and relevant today, and maybe even more accessible, Richa?
Yes, totally. So like when I talk to my Sifu, he's always like, back in the day, we didn't have any distractions. We didn't have any hobbies, no computer games. We were just training Kung Fu 4 hours every day. That was the fun. But like the world looks differently now. And it doesn't mean that you don't learn traditional, but traditional doesn't mean like, it's not that it's old or that you have to like do it in the same way. But, there's actually a meaning or like a definition what is like traditional, like in the academic world. But anyway, I mean, like the world looks different now and we have different responsibilities and like the time is very different. So it would be not very smart to train in the same way that we used to train when the world was different. So, I definitely believe that like there is a better way than just like keep repeating stuff until something clicks. And like, just like throw it in check. We just say like throw things on the wall and then see what sticks on the wall. It's kind of like high volume, but like low quality until like something lands. So yeah, I believe that's not the best way, not the most effective way. Like sure, it will bring you to the same spot probably, but it will take much longer.
So in terms of how you think about your curriculum or you organize your curriculum now, how do you think that, what sorts of changes have you implemented to try to make it more maybe concise or modern?
Right. I guess two things. One is that I don't teach everything. It's really like just big, because most of people, we are not like full-time Kung Fu practitioners, right? We have like other things to do. So you can only do so much with your time, and it would be waste to just like try to do everything. If you decide you want to like emerge in the system, you can still do it. But for most people, that's not really like the way. So I divide my curriculum into levels, like stripe levels. but not to like give people belts, but more like to limit what they focus on each level. So like, let's say you learn the first form, you learn all the stances, but on your first level, you actually really just focus on like 5 of them, even though you know the rest already, but you like work specifically with these few. So you can like really explore them in depth. And then the next level, okay, you have done this. So you move on to the next thing. But like your vision is kind of like limited to like what's important now without like, okay, you learn some more techniques in the form and so on, but this is not like your main focus. So that's one thing. And the other thing is like the ways, like the methods that I use are, like I said, not based on just like repetitions, but I use lots of like the resistant bands and some like timers, some of like, you know, things that are common in fitness, or like cones to mark, you know, different angles and so on. So like these kind of things.
I love that because it really shows how you took kind of the college model and integrated that into a classical Chinese system, because I love that. I can just see that as a class. If you were a professor, you handed me the handout. You've got the bulletin points on here's what we're going to teach for this semester. Yeah. And then you've got the body of work itself. And then here are the drills, et cetera, that emphasize what the main bullet points are that you should focus on as a student. That's really great. I like it because it's self-learning, but it's guided learning also. You know, the teacher's still there with you, even though you might be a few thousand miles away. So yeah, that's very good. Yeah. That's very good. Go ahead, Owen.
No, I was going to say, it also sounds like, you know, you've incorporated some useful sort of Western methodologies into your teaching method. So I'm assuming that you know that helps to sort of clarify and then sort of speed up the learning process. Because I'm like you, I've been in a number of Chinese systems, and a lot of times there's not a lot of organization. It's just a lot of pieces and parts. And I think it's very sort of traditional in China just to sort of teach things that way. And being a Westerner, you know, I can relate to your experience that way, because it's like, it took me years to work my ass off to piece it all together. And then I could start to sort of make some sense out of it. So I appreciate your efforts there for sure.
It's also like in Hung Gar, we don't have any belts or like ranking, originally. So there is only like the color of the buttons, right? Which is either white for a student or black for the master, for the Sifu. And like in between is nothing. It's just like you are not enough, which can be like very frustrating for like non-Asian people. So that's why I came with this, like, it doesn't matter if it's like belts or like badges or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just like the level. So, you know, okay, I'm better than I was before because now I know these few techniques more than before. Or, you know, I'm moving up, even though I'm still not there yet, but I'm like one step higher. So like it gives you like, it helps with the motivation and like really like track the progress.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's such a good thing for teaching as well, because then it sort of gives people, you know, you can look back and you can say, oh, well, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this, especially Westerners. I think we're very appreciative of that. Yeah.
So a 1-year Hong Kong trip turned into 8.
Yes.
And, you know, a 1-year Hong Kong trip turned into 8. You know, some of that, of course, was the PhD, and some of that, of course, was the Hung Gar. You know, is there something special about your master's lineage? You know, it is the Lam. You were saying it's the Lam system or the Lam lineage?
Basically. But my Sifu is Wong Chun Man. So, there
Wong
is
Chun
a little
Man?
bit.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you can say so. Yes.
What would you say are some unique characteristics about Master Wong's lineage or system, or how he teaches, maybe specific weapons? Maybe he's found a power method that other systems of Hung Gar don't utilize? Is there something with the hand methodology, or you know, have you found something that stands out with his teaching model?
We have some of the forms that are unique to to the like specific type of the lineage, but I guess mostly I really liked that I am not in the mainstream. And, Sifu is like, he's a very like friendly person, and he doesn't guard his secrets. And, so like we had like we have a very close relationship. So when I did the Paisi, basically like he adopted me into his family as a daughter, kind of. So we spent, every like class together, and then we go for the dinner after. We chat, try to chat Cantonese English mix. And, so he's also like very like hands-on. So like lots of, application, and like, when most of the students left, and like there's always like a little bit of fighting, like, testing this and that and explaining. And, he's also like very, supporting of like my MMA career, which was like important for me. So yeah, I just like really appreciate like the lineage and Sifu.
That's great. That's great. And so after 8 years of academia, after 8 years of Hung Gar, what bit you decided to move to Thailand and do MMA and Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Western boxing?
Well, so I was, when I was training Hung Gar back in Europe, we did lots of like contact drills or like sparring and, like these kind of things. But then in Hong Kong, it's mostly the forms, like not much like hands-on. So I was like, I can't be one of those like Sifus who's teaching theory. Like I cannot be a dance teacher. I need to know how it feels like to like be in the fight and get hit. And like, I need to have the experience. Like it's my responsibility. I cannot just like teach bullshit, So I started like going into like different like, places to like cross train, like boxing, sanda, and so on. And then I thought, maybe I can just try MMA because they have the gloves without fingers. So it would be like really good for Kung Fu.
Mm-hmm.
I had absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I went and I totally fell in love with MMA. So I was like training for a bit, coming back to Thailand for like a week for 1 week of training every time, every half year or so. And I was slowly moving from, this is nice to like, maybe I could like have a fight, or maybe I could fight professionally, So then it slowly like build up. And then during COVID, when like Hong Kong was really bad and the MMA scene there is quite limited, I was like, okay, now this is my chance. I get out, and I gave myself like 1 month to like pack everything, get my dog, get the paperwork for him, and like move over to Thailand to really like start working on my MMA career. And I knew that it's a one-way ticket, because my dog would have to go into 3 months quarantine if we go back to Hong Kong. So that was a no-go. So I was like, okay, it's like, if I leave now, I'm not coming back. So, so I was like, okay, I cannot give myself time to like think about it too much, because I will get emotional. So, okay, 1 month, pack everything, sell everything, and go. So I made the decision and I did it.
And that's been a few years now. Was that 3 or 4 years now?
Yeah, it's three and a half years now. Yeah, 3.5 years.
And where did you start? Did you start looking for career? Did you start looking for camps? Did you find a certain MMA camp or a Muay Thai camp that you're like, these are the people that I need to be working with?
Right. So I was working for a company in Hong Kong, and I was already working like, as a consultant. So like I didn't have to go to the office. Mm-hmm. Only like once per week. And then during COVID, my manager, he moved to Vienna. So I was like, okay, me too. I'm moving too. And, so he was like, okay. So I kept my job, which was like crucial. And, I was still like, at the same time, I was like teaching Kung Fu in Hong Kong. So I had to like, just like quit that. Unfortunately, that was like really sad. And then I moved over to Thailand. And, so every time I went there for training, I went to Tiger Muay Thai, which is like one of the famous places.
Yeah.
And then those coaches, like George and Frank Hickmans, they built their own gym. Bangtao MMA, Muay Thai and MMA, that were not even open yet, but like just like about to open. So I messaged them and they were like, just come over and do it, like train here. So I went there, and that time there were like 10, 20 of us. Like I helped paint the walls over there. Now it's a huge place. And then, last September, I decided that it's like time to move on. And now I'm with Phuket Fight Club, which is like mostly Brazilian gym, here in Phuket. And I totally love the people and love the gym. So that's my home now.
Wow. So is it actually folks that moved from Brazil to Thailand?
Yes. It's a center of Brazilian community. So I'm actually considering learning Portuguese instead of Thai, because there's more Portuguese around me than Thai.
You totally should. Brazil is amazing. I have so many friends down there, and have you tried feijoada yet?
We have there is a cafe at the gym, and but most of the time we are all on diet, so these kind of things are like off the limit. But I think I tried something. I'm not sure what it was, but it was really good. Good.
What was tell us about your first MMA fight? Was it an MMA fight? Did you do Muay Thai? What was your first dabble into fighting, and how did it go?
So I started training MMA in Hong Kong, and that was like January or December. And then around April, there was like an event, and I was like, okay, I wanna fight. And they were like, no, crazy. I was like, yes, I want to fight. So they put me up. I had no idea what I'm doing. It was like something like a car hit me or truck hit me. Didn't know where it's up and down. And then I got choked in the second round.
Damn it.
Yeah.
And then I was like so angry at myself that I had no control over what's happening. I was like, I have to do this again. I have to do this better. Like this is not how it's gonna, like, I have to do this again. So
what was your biggest takeaway of that? Well, one, sounds like you're not a quitter, which I love, but two, what was your biggest takeaway? Was it the holes in the traditional training, or, did you look at the MMA as a whole different format and a whole different way to look at something? Or what was the thought process there, my friend?
Well, I wasn't ready technically, for a fight. Like in 2 months, it was a stupid idea to do. I would do it again though, but it was a stupid idea to do. So I wasn't ready. Like I had no idea how to sweep someone on the ground. I swept the girl twice just because of pure desperate. And my coach in the corner was like, do it again. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And, I guess the biggest takeaway was like that I didn't expect how rough the fight is. Like, we just spent theorizing about fighting, but it's really, it's ugly. It's chaotic. You don't know what's happening. It's totally different animal. Like, it was not the problem of Kung Fu. It was just, I didn't train for MMA fight,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Different environment, different type of fighting, different. Yeah. Yep.
What would you say that now that you've had 3.5 years of training MMA and looking back at your Kung Fu system, which you still do, which you still love, which is still a huge part of your life, how has, maybe not just the organizational skills, but how has the MMA informed your Kung Fu?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been training MMA around 6 years now, I think, or maybe 6 years. And I guess, just like people who come to Kung Fu, they come for different things than people who come to MMA. So it's not really that I would just take MMA and like try to like kind of like stuck Kung Fu in the form, and be like, oh, this is the new Kung Fu. Like, no, but like, it's not like I don't really like change anything. I don't feel like I have the, like, I have the credibility to like change anything, or like, who am I to change anything? But I do like teach things in both like Kung Fu stances as well as in like Fight Gar, like high stances, and or like try to like connect some dots, like when teaching techniques or like footwork. I guess get these things. And like also like when I teach Kung Fu, I also like teach rehabilitation and mobility and strength and conditioning, because it has to come together, especially like when people who train Kung Fu, most of them or most of us, we are just like sitting whole day at work, and then we go and jump into the Kung Fu class, into the low stances, and we expect that it's going to make our body healthy, and surprise, it's not. Like try to like help with like these kind of injuries before they happen, and like with the mobility and stuff. And it really helped me, like the experience that I had with MMA, because there's like lots of injuries. So I had to really like level up my like how I work with rehabilitations and strength and conditioning to really like make sure that I don't get injured, or like how to rest, how to recover. And because now it's a must. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. It was funny because, and we'll have you introduce your online training program where you teach Hung Gar. But I noticed, this was like a month ago or maybe even a couple of weeks ago, that one of your students was having trouble with some of the shoulder mobility, and you had be like, hey, get some of these bands and do these exercises with these bands. And so I could already tell that, some of your PhD and some of the Western studies and some of the MMA, again, was helping you to, help these students that, have never moved in these certain manners that a lot of the Chinese Kung Fu styles move in, I thought that was a great example.
It's funny because this student, he's a physiotherapist. So, he also like, he knows very well what he's doing. So it's like great to like work with him as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Are there any takeaways from your time doing Hung Gar that you can directly translate into doing your MMA practice?
That's the most common question.
I had to ask.
Yeah. For sure. I would say maybe the grips and like the way how we handle holds and like gripping hands. It's like super useful in grappling, wrestling, BJJ. So that one. And then like for striking, I would say like I specialize more on boxing than like kickboxing. And in boxing, often like the footwork and stuff, like the logic behind it, or like the patterns, the biomechanics, it's like very similar or even the same with Kung Fu, but like you're coming to the same idea like from a different angle. So that, but like for sure, if you don't train the way to fight, then like still like if you go to, have a fight, then that won't save you.
Yeah, for sure.
So would you say that the odd kind of thing that you train in all of your training right now is the BJJ? Is that kind of the different environment for you? And what are you getting out of training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Oh, I have like different sessions every day. I train twice per day, and so it's different. I have wrestling, I have boxing, I have kickboxing, BJJ, sparring, kickboxing, MMA sparring, strength and conditioning. Yeah. I used to train Muay Thai, but not so much anymore. So every day is different. It's hard to like fit in everything actually.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I bet that sounds like a lot. That's cool. Yeah.
You're getting it done, sister. You're getting it done. So tell us about kind of the Kung Fu academic umbrella. And besides having a great, awesome title, what does the Kung Fu academic offer? Cause you've got a great podcast, which you need to dust off, called Fight Waves. If anybody is looking for an awesome podcast, you can check out Fight Waves, Miss Vercha. She's amazing. You can, and then, you also have your your Kung Fu Academy online.
Yeah. So when I was doing my PhD and I wanted to store my academic papers and research somewhere. So I made this website, and I was thinking how would I call it to kind of have an umbrella term for everything. So I came with Kung Fu Academic as academic researcher, the person, which for me was the coach, the researcher, and also the athlete, because I was also competing. So that kind of happened, and then I put my academic papers there. It's still there, and my doctoral thesis. And then when I moved to Thailand, I started coaching online, because some of the students I had in Hong Kong, they were oh, so now when you are away, can you teach me online? I was oh, I have to think about it. So I started thinking how to do that. I didn't want to do an online course. I wanted to do an online coaching, which is there's a major difference. Because in the course, you don't have the coaching. You just have, videos and no interaction with the coach and no feedbacks and so on. And I wanted to still coach the people so I decided to create this Kung Fu Scholars, which, to me was a logical step to name it as it's the same theme as Kung Fu Academic. So it kind of symbolized that you are being smart about your Kung Fu. Or explore stuff, research stuff. So I have now this Kung Fu Scholars, online coaching program where I have people coming in that are even beginners, so newcomers, or also coming from other styles. So today I just onboarded a few people with 10 plus years of experience. Or I also have now some intermediate or advanced Hung Gar practitioners who actually come for just personal coaching, where they don't join the program, but we work on what they already do, but they need training plans, and they need to get feedback for what they are doing, kind of way how to train at home. Awesome. So I do that as well. Yes. I think that answer your question. Yeah, there's the podcast.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Blog.
Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of stuff. A question just popped out of what you were saying there. And it made me realize, not only do you have your Sifu in Hung Gar, but you also have all these great coaches.
Yes.
That teach you Western boxing, that teach you Muay Thai, that teach you MMA, that teach you, the MMA sparring, the BJJ. What have you learned from having so many different coaches, that have each their own method of how to present information? How good is that if you're a coach yourself to have multiple teachers and coaches?
Yeah. It's great. And, all my coaches are very high level people, and they are still fighting in high level organization. And some of them are my boxing coach. He's I'm teaching now in the way that I wished I was taught. And I realized that it's the same thing for me. I'm coaching Kung Fu now in the way I wish I was I had a coach to have for myself. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I was going to say, that's really cool. That's a really cool way to say it too. It's I'm teaching in the way I wish I was taught. And I'm I really connected with that. I was just yeah, that's what I'm doing too. It's I'm trying to teach people the way that I wish I was taught. So I love that.
Awesome. So by the way, if you'd share this and tell us how it went. So I watched you the other day too. You were training for a boxing match that didn't happen, and you wound up taking a smoker for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu no-gi match. How did that at the drop of a dime, which is great because that tells me, you were talking about being on a diet. You were talking about training, for injury. So, you were always in shape and ready at the drop of a dime. So how did the no-gi match go? And, what did you think? What did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, that was a side quest.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
It's in MMA, it's not easy to like get fights. You know, like if you're fighting Muay Thai, you can fight like every second week. But with MMA, if you're lucky, you get 2, maybe 3 fights per year. So like so far this year, I didn't get any fight. I got 2, but they both like didn't happen. So I'm just like, you know, trying to stay ready, which is like very frustrating because you are training hard, but you don't know when you're going to get the opportunity, you know, and then the voice inside you is like, oh, maybe you are done. Maybe you're never going to fight again, you know? And so you're trying to like stay on top of things. And so, like I was really like brushing off my boxing this half a year and like trying to like get better in boxing. So I was like, okay, I want to do like a boxing pro debut also while waiting for my next MMA fight. And that also didn't happen. I got like an offer, but we didn't take it because the opponent they offered me was like having 19 MMA, 19 pro boxing fights already, and that would be my debut. So we were like, oh yeah, maybe no. So as I was waiting, I was like, oh, there's a competition in Nogi next week. So I was like, okay, I just apply. I have 1 day before the deadline, so I applied, and yeah. And
how'd it go?
So I got silver in my weight class and bronze in the open weight.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
At the drop of a dime, sister. At the drop of a dime. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Your PhD is, and this is fascinating. Was it in psychology? Did you say like the toughness of Kung Fu?
Yes, mental toughness.
So let's talk about that. I've got a great gentleman here in Colorado that I listen to that has a PhD in, cognitive processes, but also like, how to coach high level athletes on the mental game. And he has a catchphrase. You should steal it. It's the check up from the neck up, right? And he's like, all these professional athletes from the neck down are like superheroes. You know, they train all the time. They've got the proper diet. They know how to lift and things like that. But as these athletes go to, you know, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, in your own arena, it's the MMA. And I've listened to an episode of Fight Waves that was great about the inner monologue. How much of good Kung Fu, good Thai boxing, good BJJ, good MMA has to start with here, the mind?
Oh, it's everything. Everything starts there. It's super important. Like you see great fighters losing before they enter to the cage because they don't like work well with their mind. And you see like okay fighters beating up much better opponents because they are like, they have better mindset or like they are built better in their mind. And yeah, so it's super important. Like I spend lots of time like with my mental preparation for a fight. I have a therapist that like we work on it like specifically. I had some like sessions with mental coach and it's really super important.
So you have a process? Do you share that process at all with your online coaching? Or is that something that you're going to look at down the road maybe?
Yes, I do. I mean, I do. So like in my online coaching, I also have like a theoretical sessions where I either like teach something about Kung Fu or like the Kung Fu culture, but also like about the mental game, like, how to work with motivation, you know, some anti-stress, anti-anxiety techniques, some breath techniques and so on, how to work with like journaling and stuff. But like, so when it comes to my like mental preparation, it's like so many things and, you know, it cannot change fight by fight. It's not like one thing I would do or like 5 things I would do. It really depends where I am mentally at that time and, you know, what's going on. And so it really depends.
Very good. Very good. When's your next fight? Do you know? Is there something?
I'm in Thailand now. It's end of May and, so I'm going home for a few weeks in summer, end of June. So I have 3 weeks to go. And with my manager, we are trying to get me a last minute fight, hopefully. And if that doesn't work, then the next nearest time I can fight again is September. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, it's the game of waiting, we say.
Is there a big MMA circuit in Czech Republic that maybe you could take up a fight over? Have you ever thought about that?
There is, but it's not like that you would, sign up somewhere or like fill in a registration form. You need to have like the managers and matchmakers that know you, and you need to be good and have a good record, which I currently don't have. So I need to improve that before I'm like, oh, I'm here, can you sign me up for like a big event? So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, dang it. Okay. Here's an odd one. Throw you an oddball. Anybody in Thailand interested in learning some Hung Gar through you? Do you have any Hung Gar students over there in Thailand?
In Thailand?
Yeah.
You mean in person? In person?
Yeah,
no, I don't teach in person right now because, my plate is full.
So full.
So I put lots of time into the online coaching, and it's mostly things you don't see, like the marketing stuff and, writing stuff and, taking videos and editing videos and, and then the time with the clients, but it's just like part of it. Like the coaching is not really the biggest part of the entire thing. Like running business is totally like different animal than just, teaching. Yeah. And then I have my full-time training schedule, which like most of my friends in the gym, they just train, they train, they go sleep, they train again, dinner, sleep time, and next day again, train, sleep, train. So, and I work in between. So it's like, I can't take like in-person, student right now.
Mm-hmm. So I think before we got on, like Randel had mentioned that in your Hung Gar system that you had trained weapons in their, the weapon sets in Hung Gar. And I was wondering if there was any, because, well, first what I want to ask is, how do you think, excuse me, the weapons sort of helped or hindered or helped you train or change the way you were practicing your Hung Gar system at that time?
Well, weapons are a type of like strength training. So they really like show you how your body is coordinative, if your like waist movement is where it should be, especially like with long sticks or like heavier weapons. Mm-hmm. So it's like a good marker of like when you do things right and wrong. So like, even if you don't want to be good at fencing, it's still great to, learn some sword or saber, just because it will show you like that if your footwork is correct, or like if your like body alignment is correct, and so on.
Yep. Yeah, awesome. That totally makes sense. Yeah. And then, and so in Hung Gar, in your system of Hung Gar, do they use like, cause I do a lot of bagua and we use a lot of like big oversized weapons, and we use like heavy weapons and things like that to sort of help train the body and sort of train the body method, and then sort of the use pattern, as an extension of the empty hand stuff. And is it similar? Is it the same kind of conceptual idea in Hung Gar?
Well, in Hung Gar, we have lots of weapons that I borrow from other styles. So quite often the way how you move with the weapons is not exactly how you move with your like empty hand forms. Not all the weapons, but like quite number of them. And like if you come to my Sifu school, which is like an old factory building in Hong Kong with all the noises around, and there's like lots of lion heads on the wall, and then these like stands with the weapons and like the sticks, and there's lots of dust, and the sabers, they have like this it's getting rusty kind of because the humidity everywhere, so you kind of, if you want to train, you just pick a weapon you want and then you train. So there were few weapons that were like heavy and long, but most of them like not really. And I am not really a fan of like training with like heavy weapons, just because I don't want to like just because like I don't really enjoy it myself, and it comes to like the way that it comes to also the thing that I compete. So I have like lighter weapons for the competitions, but also like I don't want to hinder the quality movement just because I'm like cool because I have a heavy weapon. You know, I don't want to, you know, have the quality like go down just because I'm handling something I cannot lift properly for like the 3 or 4 minutes of the time that's the form.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And then I guess my follow-up is do you see any direct relationship between your weapons training and sort of how that's helped you train now with your MMA and what you're doing now? Do you think that there's any relationship between those things, or it's just sort of ancillary in some way?
I never really thought about that, actually. I think it's like when I train, it doesn't matter if it's with weapon or without weapon. I still like, you know, kind of like, analyze things, like separate them, try to put them together. And I do the same like with my boxing, or like I have an issue in like takedown. So then I like separate it. I drill it in different ways. I try to like see where is the issue, just put it together again. And, you know, so I guess I do the same thing, just like with different content.
Cool. Thanks.
So what's on the horizon for the Kung Fu academic? You know, is it another 4 or 5 years in Thailand? Is Czech Republic ever going to be home again? You said you might speak some Portuguese here pretty soon. So is Brazil, on the horizon and the beaches of Brazil? What do you think, my friend?
We have beaches here too, you know, in Phuket. So I'm quite happy.
That's right.
I honestly, I don't know. I'm 36, which is not usually the age for MMA fighters, but I am like definitely feeling like stronger and faster than in my 20s. So I'm not like quitting with my like pro fighting anytime soon. So it really depends where it takes me. But for now, I think this is the best place I can be, like with the best people. I do miss home. If I will move back, I'm not entirely sure. I think one day, so like my plan was always to open a Kung Fu school, and then kind of MMA happened and things changed. I think that is still on the plan in the future, and probably with some like not only Kung Fu, but I really want to like become an expert in striking, maybe like specifically boxing. But that's really like far future. I think I will be like, you know, fighting as long as I can and like competing and always like around. So I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't have a plan right now.
You know, a lot of us that practice the classical or traditional Chinese martial arts are here in the West or in Europe or, you know, South America, whatever, but we might not be Chinese. And we're practicing these classical martial arts. But you've learned so much from also practicing I guess you could call it a Western, the MMA, the modern model of what combat sports is. If you could send a message to somebody that is in the West training a classical Chinese martial arts, could you give them kind of something that might be that you learned from training in China under a legitimate master, maybe a tip there, and then also maybe a tip from something that you've learned from your training in the MMA now for, 6 years?
Well, that's an easy question. I mean,
cool. Yeah.
Oh my God.
We can always come back to it. That's what we do. We sit around and we take notes and like, how can we stump our next guest with one of these big philosophical, questions here?
Yeah. Yeah. I have to think about it. That's like, I don't know now.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you can't think of it by the end of the episode, then my challenge is for the next episode of Fight Waves to be the answer to this on Kung Fu Conversations.
Oh
How about that?
What am I getting into?
That's right.
Yeah,
You're like, it's getting later and later over here. It's getting later and later over here in Thailand, which is a great thing. So where do you see yourself for the next 2 weeks? What's going on for your training? Just training, more online coaching. You have a great presence on Instagram.
Thank you.
I try to share as much of your stuff that you're doing on Instagram, with the Kung Fu Scholars, with Kung Fu Academic. You really got the social media game down. I can tell you that, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Actually, here's a question for you. How is Kung Fu Scholars going? How is the online school going? Do you have a good presence there? Do people know about it? Are you getting people from all over the world?
I have, so like this week I'm onboarding 4 new people, from Europe and, from America. Yes, 2 from Europe. One is in US, one is in Canada. So like I'm getting more and more clients, but it's hard to like reach the correct audience. And it's also like hard to, there is so much online courses online where, you pay $10 and, you get some videos, and then when they got on call with me and then I explained to them how that works, they're like, oh yeah, but I can do this, Shaolin online for $5
Right.
and so it's like, in fitness industry, people are used to that. There are like tiers, they can go to a class, a group class, or they can pay for a video program, or they can have a personal coach who will like, make them accountable. But like in Kung Fu, we don't really like understand the differences, so we don't understand the difference between like just following a video and actually having a coach and having feedback and, having someone to check on you and like, using coaching trackers and stuff like that. So that's like, it's hard to like educate people in this. Yeah. And
so
go
ahead.
Well, sometimes, and you fight with the algorithm all the time. So you never know like what's gonna work. So you spend, you spend hour or 2 editing videos and then it has like 150 views and you're like, oh, okay, well, just wasted my time. And, so,
So if you could talk to your audience right now and if you could, so you are basically almost an internet one-on-one coach. What kind of client are you looking for that you think the Kung Fu Scholars model of teaching Hung Gar, what kind of client do you think would fit well? What kind of student do you think would fit well with your style of teaching?
Right. So it's adults usually between like 30, 35 and 70 years old that are like looking for both like working on their mind and their body. So like they don't want to really go lift weights, but they also don't really want to go to do yoga, but they're looking for something like in between that will affect both. And at the same time, they're like used to goal setting and, being like smart about like the way how they approach things, having some kind of like technological intelligence, I guess, like quite easy to like work with computers and stuff, spreadsheets. So just like people who are like to be effective with their methods and with their time and like to approach things from modern way, but also are looking for, like the traditional depth of things and like the breath exercises and all these, but like kind of in like one package.
Awesome.
Yeah. Very
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. What time do you have to get up and what's your first class tomorrow?
Oh, it's a weekend and I took my dog for a staycation on the other side of Phuket. So, we are absolutely free.
Perfect.
Oh, nice.
And what is your child? Cause your dog is your child. What is your puppy's name?
Taco. Like tacos, but one taco because I like eating. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, by the way, how tough is that living in Thailand and staying on a diet?
Oh, it's actually easier than like being anywhere else, especially like in Hong Kong, because like trying to find healthy food in Hong Kong is horrible. And not cheap at all. Like in Thailand, because there are so many gyms and so many fighters and so many like fitness, CrossFit people, it's really easy to like find restaurants that are like in healthy way, you know, like steak, veggies. So I don't eat Thai food often. That's not really on the healthy side of things, but like it's very common that like around the gyms there are places and you just go and you order, I don't know, meat with eggs and some morning glory or something, and like, or even like if you are in the last like days of cutting and you ask for no salt, they know what they are doing, and like they know how to like handle stuff. And almost everywhere they don't put like sugar into like shakes or stuff that's like quite normal. Then ask you like, do you want any sugar? Like, you know, automatically it's no sugar. And so
that's
yeah,
great.
It's
cool.
easy. It's easy here. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it sounds like there's sort of a culture and an infrastructure around like all of these places. Oh, that's so cool.
Yes. So there is this street in Phuket that we call a fitness street. That's where like lots of like gyms are, and like this like healthy food and like fruit shakes and protein shakes and barbers and tattoo salons and so this is like this kind of, and then you walk down the street and there's like a UFC fighter here and PFL fighter there and like some CrossFit person over there, and you know it's like a world inside of a world, like underworld kind of.
Yeah, it's like a city inside a city. Do you find that the English language is spoken quite a bit in that area, or is it mainly?
No, Thailand in general has like very good level of English, so it's like no problem to speak English with anyone. I would say it's actually sometimes more difficult to like speak with the foreigners English than with the Thai people, because the Thai people always know how to speak English, but there are also fighters from like Russia or I don't know, Kyrgyzstan and so on, and the level of English is not so great. Or some Chinese fighters too. But like all the classes are in English, and, you know, with some occasional Portuguese swearing.
Nice.
I know some Portuguese swearing, but I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm going to keep this a clean show. Well, Owen, I think I maybe have one or two more questions. Did you have anything, for Miss, Veronika?
No, you know, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So, you know, your Sifu has meant so much to you, and what a rare thing too, to have somebody so open with the classical Chinese. That, you know, as all three of us know on camera right now, that is a rare thing, very rare thing, especially to a foreigner, even to, you know, a lady foreigner too. You know, that's such a rare thing. Would you say now, you know, living in Thailand for, you know, your time, do you have another coach that you look not quite as a Sifu, but like somebody that you go to? You know, you've got a lot of coaches, and I'm sure they all bring something special and great to the learning and teaching experience of whatever their field is. But is there somebody that you just keep picking their brain, asking them questions, going back to, that is a very good mentor as a teacher as well as a martial artist?
My head coach, Marlon Sandro, he's like very famous MMA fighter, but he's also like a great coach. And I was like, when I was deciding to like switch gyms and I was like picking where to go, I had like two options that I was like considering. He was the reason why I decided to go to Phuket Fight Club, because I had a chat with him, and first of all, I like the thing that he is 48 now. He's 48 and he's still active. Like he had a grappling fight just like, you know, not long time ago. And so it's, when I was quite nervous to like explain to him that I am older, that I'm 36, because I was afraid that I wouldn't be taken seriously, that I would be on the sideline, just like, you know, that's a hobbyist. And it didn't happen. He was like, I don't care. How old are you? And And like when I was getting ready for my fight, he was very reasonable and like smart approach in terms of like, okay, you work hard in the morning and in the afternoon, it's more technical and like really working well with like how to rest properly and even like giving me like the right pep talk before the fight. He actually almost knocked me out before the fight. So, there's like, so like you backstage before like the MMA fight, before you walk to the cage, you like warm up, we drill together and, they wrap your hands, they give you gloves, everything, they tape it. You're like thinking, what the hell am I doing here? How do I get out of here? And then like right before they bring you like to walk to the cage, there is like the time where the coach just like hit you to like get you ready for the impact, It's important because it's a big shock when suddenly like, someone start like, trying to kill you in the cage. Mm-hmm. So he turned to me and then like, and I knew it's coming, it's always coming before the fight, but I guess like it was our first time working together for a fight and I didn't expect he's going to hit me so hard, and so I was like, oh no. Okay.
Oh my god! What do they call that?
Marlon is.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, what do they call that? Getting your face wet. You definitely got your face wet. The boxers, they call that getting your face wet. Before the fight. So you definitely got your face wet. I actually have one more question that popped out. You've said this, and I kind of keep mental notes of things through a podcast, and you've mentioned this quite a bit. You talk a lot about timing and pace. In the morning we train this way. In the afternoon we train this way. Getting the proper sleep, getting the proper food and nutrition as a professional fighter. And then also, how we pace things out in the ring. Do you come out aggressive? Do you let them, dictate the fight? Do you dictate the fight? Things like that. Do you think that term can be translated and needs to be explored more in the classical field of Chinese martial arts, is how to pace things out? Because I found, at least here in the West, in the fitness industry right now, everyone likes to do this, what I call red line. You have an automobile and it's in the danger zone when you redline the RPMs, right? the engine will blow up. Do you think that sometimes pace needs to be explored more as a coach on how we, how we manage our effort, how we manage our time, sleep, things like that?
Totally. Yeah. Just like as you talk, I thought of two examples. One is like, when I'm coaching, I have these like levels that are going on, like where you train and there's like this kind of routine, you train in the same way. And then after some time, which in my case, it's 6 months, there is this like 1 month period, which is like kind of like a deload period where I break the routine. So like the people don't train in the same way anymore. And instead of like doing what they were doing, they like repeat things they already know in like new way, but also do some more like Qigong exercises and some like internal work, like some worksheet, reflections and like some, maybe visualization, or like I give them a list of podcasts to listen to, like kind of like different stimuli before they move on and do again the same routine. So it's important to like, break it sometimes. And, like even when I train for a competition, you have to taper the way how you train, right? So like the volume and the intensity would change depending on how far you are from the competition. Mm-hmm. And it's important to train that way, not only if you have a competition, but let's say if you just decide, okay, on this date, I want to like peak my performance. I mean, not performance as like that you show something to someone, but in terms of like the best quality of the technique I can show or I can do, so that you can like kind of like schedule your training and have a training plan and train in different way if you are 2 months away from the date or like 1 week away from the date. So that's one thing. And the other thing is I see it a lot in Kung Fu forms where lots of people just train like robots. They just, go like step, 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 step. And it's so boring to watch. And it's so like, like you don't fight like that. You don't move like that. So like I try to like, teach my students to really like think of like how do you put the defense and the attack together? Where do you pause, to like have a rhythm in the form? So it's not, just like step, like a robot.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, we are going to let you enjoy your vacation with Taco. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And
you're welcome.
We will keep in touch. And when this episode comes out, we'll put your links and all that other stuff up. Mm-hmm. And we wish you the best in training.
Yes.
And then whenever that next fight comes, we wish you the best there. And have a great day. Rest well tonight, Veronika Partikova.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.